Yes, we back again, and today we're going to talk about the military tactics of Toussaint Louverture, in particular against the British Empire. Let's get into it. Me personally, I feel like as black men, we are very far removed from our pre-colonial military greatness. In fact, in the modern day, we don't even have a single military force that stands up anywhere in the world that can really hold its own on the grand political stage. But let's go back in time to an era when black men were able to hold their own on the grand political stage against all world powers. Let's go back to one of the greatest military minds that the black race has ever produced, Toussaint Louverture. Let's get into it. Before we jump right into the discussion, like, share, subscribe, comment, support, Cash App in the description. Let's go. Many of the military tactics employed by Toussaint Louverture included deception, intimidation, invisible fighters, quote unquote, fake ceasefires, drive-by ambushes, and many more. The most elaborate display of Toussaint's military genius occurred around August 1794, where he created a plan to capture and assassinate British General Sir Thomas Brisbane. To gain entry into the British camp, Toussaint sent and received a total of 17 letters and communications expressing fake interest in joining the British side and pledging allegiance to the British crown. Toussaint instructed his men to surrender the regions of Verret and Petite Rivière over to the British side, and for a short time, this put an end to hostilities between British and Haitian forces, with Toussaint attending several meetings and events held by General Thomas Brisbane over an 8-day period. Toussaint also offered up the town of Gonaive and encouraged Brisbane to take possession of it to finalize the deal. Brisbane sent one of his officers instead, where they were ambushed, and several senior British officers were taken hostage. Ambushes were also used on enemy convoys, where heavy amounts of resources and ammunition can also be captured. In early 1795, Toussaint's troops captured a British detachment which was supplying resources to a neighboring camp. 60 British soldiers died. In 1796, 500 British troops were ambushed by Toussaint, suffering heavy losses, and 7 carriages worth of food was confiscated by Toussaint's forces. The common points of attack would be the roads leading in and out of town. One of Toussaint's legendary quotes during battle: "He who lies in wait is much stronger than he who is surprised." One of Toussaint's intimidation tactics included sending small units to British camps late at night and letting off shots, forcing the enemy out of bed and forcing him to spend the night searching through the woods, thus never allowing him to get a full night's sleep. British officers would describe these as invisible fighters, quote unquote. One British officer recalled waking up and giving chase for over 5 miles but never finding the perpetrator, going back to sleep, and the same thing happened again 5 hours later. The objective of this tactic was to create a sense of paranoia among the enemy due to being under surveillance by a combative force they cannot see or hear. Toussaint gathered information through a network of spies, informants, local women, the interception of letters, refugees, deserters, local fishermen, etc., which he called les grandes intelligences. Toussaint also preferred to attack the enemy during tropical thunderstorms, accompanied by African drums and screams to further intimidate the enemy. In one encounter, the British fled after 6 hours. On the 16th of April, 1797, a band of Haitian rebels snuck into the British-controlled territory of Saint-Marc in the middle of the night and stole 6 horses directly from the military barracks. Toussaint engaged the British military in the 1790s over 200 times. In April 1797, Toussaint led a 15-day campaign to capture the Mirebalais region from the British. This area was strategic due to its proximity as an entrance and exit point for the east, west, north, and south provinces, and contained large plantations of cotton, indigo, and coffee, which made it an economic asset that Toussaint wanted under his control. The British had been controlling it for at least a year after defeating Toussaint's army and conquering the region the year before. Toussaint assembled a force of 12,000 men and established a headquarters at Verret, occupying the road between Mirebalais and Port-au-Prince, thus preventing the arrival of any British reinforcements. Dessalines and Clairvaux led the attack and advanced on British positions, killing the regional commander. As Toussaint's forces advanced uphill, British forces attempted to flee across the Artibonite River, where they were ambushed by rebels lying in wait. As the British began to panic, Toussaint took over Clairvaux's column and gave chase to the retreating enemy, surrounding the area for over 36 hours and burning everything down. By the end of the campaign, the Mirebalais region had been recaptured by Toussaint's men, with several hundred British troops assassinated and enormous amounts of war material confiscated, which included rifles, pistols, cannons, and ammunition. A month later, the British attempted to reconquer the region, forcing Toussaint to once again drive out the invaders. During the 1790s, the majority of Toussaint's troops survived on 3 biscuits per day and 3/4 of them were missing pants or shirts. 1796 was one of the toughest years, with many of Toussaint's letters included written accounts of food shortages. Sometimes barrels of food would also be intercepted by enemy forces. So yeah, man, Toussaint Louverture against the British Empire, military tactics from the black man. Now, unfortunately, in the modern day, due to how the military landscape has changed, we could probably never pull off the same tactics and pull off the same moves like we did in the 1790s, obviously. Now we got jets and, missiles and bombs and biological agents and everything in between. Now, the reason why Toussaint Louverture was successful in his day was because he had access to the same war material, the same military technology as his opponent, as his enemy. Now, like I said, some of his men might have been missing pants. Some of his men might have been missing shoes. Some of his men might have had no shirts. But at the end of the day, they had the same rifles, they had the same handguns, they had the same cannons, they had the same gunpowder. And I guarantee if we had access to the same military technology as our opponents, we would be pulling off victories just like our legendary ancestors. But like I said, back again, it's your boy, Neferkari Dessalines, the military tactics of Toussaint Louverture. I'm out. Peace.
Pressing my kingdom, I feel like Bianchi. Enemy watching, you know they gon' copy. Running my check and go cop me a Mozzie. Stacking blue hundreds, just look at my wallet. Flipping my profit, I'm dodging inflation. Pain in my heart, cause I know we in danger. Trying to do business, ain't trying to be famous. Up in the shadows, I'm moving audacious. Diamonds be shining, I know they be looking and watching. The spirit of jealousy living, they conscious, the enemy.